The movie just feels very warm and smart.
I think this film really caters to the young person inside of you.
So excited!
Yeah. Bravo!
It's just one of those you can't go wrong type of films.
I think it's a combination of all the elements in the cast.
Doing these kind of things, cartoons, they pay off in many ways. Mainly because children all over the world love the Smurfs.
Stop.
When you're a Smurf in a movie this big, in a 3D movie that is a franchise that has entertained kids for 50 years, you know that it is a blessing to be part of this.
Well, goodbye, Blue World!
Smurfs, you may want to take a look at this.
What is it?
We had a meeting when we decided that we couldn't send all the Smurfs to New York City. We had to keep it limited to 6. It was like, well, who do we need? You know, it's like casting a basketball team or something. And we gotta have Grouchy because you gotta have that voice. You have to have Smurfette. So we came up with this sort of ensemble of characters.
What?
My hip!
And the cast talent, the voice talent is just amazing.
We just simply felt that we couldn't just have the biggest names. That wasn't what we were the most interested in. What we were most interested in was who was so clearly that character. So we just listened to the voices with drawings or paintings of the character, no names attached. So we look at it with the sense of, does it feel real? Does this feel like this character's voice? And they are all way beyond our expectations as to who would be doing the voices. And it's such an eclectic and fun group.
I've got a message. Always chew with your mouth closed.
Or dance and be happy.
How about grab life by the grapes?
That's good. You should use that.
Jonathan Winters does the voice for Papa Smurf, he actually did Grandpa Smurf in the Hanna-Barbera series. So he's no stranger to Smurfs.
It was a miracle I got called to do Papa Smurf, period. At 85, to doing anything but planting geraniums is a miracle. When they called me and said, would you like to play Papa Smurf? I leaped at it.
It's such an honor to be able to work with him. And he didn't have to scrunch his voice. We just have his voice.
He just has that gruff, gravelly voice that somehow has a ton of warmth into it.
It's an embarrassment of riches. They've given you gold here. They wanted a little Irish and a little this kind of American accent. So to slide in and out, you got to be kind of careful without going, oh, what's happening, lads? We're going down. No, it's a little too Irish. Let's tone it down some. Oh, lads, come on, you Smurfs. Pull it together. That's a little better. I'll get the Smurf route. You stay in the village and out of trouble. Do you understand?
Okay.
The Smurfs, although they're all the same age, with the exception of Papa, Clumsy feels younger. So we were looking for a voice quality that felt a little bit younger than everybody else's.
Anton Yelchin did the voice for him, and he's got an incredibly youthful and soulful voice.
I'm a hero? I'm a hero! Clumsy's voice doesn't sound necessarily like mine. It's like mine, but it's a little pitched higher, you know, and it's a little more full of joy, you know, and enthusiasm for life. Not that my tone of voice isn't full of enthusiasm for life, but I think Clumsy's is significantly greater than mine. He's so pure of heart, and I think that's the key, is he's so committed to being honest and helping, and it's a inspiring thing.
Yes! Follow me, everyone!
Clumsy! You're going the wrong way!
Smurfette. We listened to many, many voices, and we were slightly stunned to find out the person that Raja and I chose was Katy Perry.
What?
I got a call, and they said they had heard my voice, very unsolicited. They hadn't matched my voice to my face or didn't know that it was me behind it, and they liked the texture of my voice.
Bye, Grace.
Perfect.
It's basically my voice with a little bit, like, throw some rocks in it.
I'm done smurfing around.
It's like I had too many cups of coffee all in one day.
You smurfed with the wrong girl.
When I started to hear Katie's voice, it's very musical the way she speaks. It's really interesting. You can tell she's a singer just from hearing her in the mix.
You just hear that voice and you fall in love. That's great. There's a little Marilyn Monroe Smurfette action thing going on in New York that's very sweet.
Whoa, is there drafts in here?
It's really interesting because I get to kind of be a part of creating her character and adding little nuances to who I guess she is on the big screen.
Let's stay Smurftivistic.
You know what? I choose to be pessimistic. We're all gonna die.
When we were deciding which 6 Smurfs were going to come through the portal, we knew we had to have Grouchy because you just got to have that naysayer voice.
Stop! None of you find that song just the tiniest bit annoying?
I find it annoying. I'm not sure how this voice became the hit machine. You start out as a dog, you end up as a cat, you go to be a toucan, and then you go to become the biggest thing of all, which is you're blue and you're a Smurf. And the grouchy one, which is perfect. Very little acting. I had no coffee. I have a daughter that, she's 15. That will keep you grouchy. The funny thing was to see the way they had drawn him, and it kind of looked like me. And he has arms crossed, and I said, oh, wow, that's the eyebrows down. That has a bluish resemblance to my normal look.
What can I say, Clumsy? You're not on the list.
Grouchy, it's right there.
You two lack the verbal skills required to explain this predicament succinctly.
Here we go.
The voice of Brainy had to be both a real voice and a voice that had, when we and the character needed it, a grating quality to it.
This is not a Smurf bridge. It's clearly a chain of Smurfs.
Because he can be very smart and everyone listens, or he can be completely obnoxious. And I think you will agree with Grouchy and Gutsy that you want to punt him out of there.
Great.
Off you go.
No!
Ultimately, a person who we felt embodied both is Fred Armisen from Saturday Night Live.
No, I just did like a fake falsetto, and that was kind of it. I didn't do too much. Sometimes if it sounds like you're working too hard, it just, it's evident.
You see, Clumsy, the other Smurfs don't want to dance with you for fear of what are politely called fractures.
I just got a lot of sleep beforehand, because sometimes those days are they're pretty long and your voice wears out after a while, so I just made sure that I got a lot of sleep the night before.
You're lucky your lassie stepped in. I was about to make haggis with your innards.
Gutsy Smurf is a new character that we have created for the movie. He's got a Scottish accent and he wears a blue kilt, and he's just our action hero. He's our rough and ready guy.
Oh, a Smurf cannon! The only way to fly.
It was, one of those moments where you think, I can't believe this is happening to me. I cannot believe the honor that has been bestowed on me to be a Smurf. But actually what I really liked about it was that I was a Scottish Smurf. I really felt very proud. And it was great, an onerous responsibility as well.
No Smurf left behind. Not Papa, and not you.
He's Scottish, but he's a much more gruffer, kind of Scottish, a bit lower, sort of like that.
What are you pasty giant?
I quite enjoy that process of just finding the character through my enchanted forest. It's right that it takes so long and it's so specific, because it's really every line is a kind of huge part of that character's existence.
Smurf hug!
Yeah!
I feel like these characters are adorable. You care about these guys. They have subtlety of emotion. I'm just incredibly proud of the work that the voice talent has done to give these little guys souls.
Everything's been so exciting from the cast and the way that's come together. And I think that's why you still want to, go to Smurf Village and spend time with them.
Oh, yeah, I love Smurf berries.
To hear your voice come out of a Smurf is pretty amazing. It may be the highlight of the things that I've done, because it is a franchise that everybody knows and everybody's seen.
You just don't expect, when you're trained to be an actor, that you're going to see yourself on a popcorn bag. And I have to say, I find all that very satisfying.
Smurfs began in the middle to late 1950s. They began in Belgium and spread throughout Europe, and Peyo drew them.
La histoire des Schtroumpfs. Peyo.
Obviously the Peyo drawings are beautiful, and the compositions of every panel in his books are just gorgeous. And translating those shapes into CG, into three-dimensional form, for this film, it's quite a challenge.
I think the goal was to walk that line between delivering the Smurfs that everyone knows and loves and expects to see, but also make them so that they can work in this movie where they have to interact with real human beings. I mean, changes were made in their face, subtle changes, like Smurfs, the way they're drawn by Peyo, have very kind of googly eyes. They're right together, there's no space between them. We didn't want to go that graphic. We wanted them to feel like they had faces that could exist in nature. So they were made a bit more natural, but stylized enough that when you first look at them, they feel comfortable. They feel like what you'd expect Smurfs to look like.
Everything turns out Smurfy.
The other challenge is obviously that their skin is blue.
Smurfs have a very blue thumb.
That's another thing that you're dealing with. Initially, we were told, here's the blue color, and we were given a Pantone blue swatch that was sort of the Smurf blue, and that translates great in a comic book, but it doesn't really translate in the real world.
There isn't anything in nature that's a living creature that's blue, per se.
Oh my Smurf.
So it's somewhat of an unrealistic or unfamiliar thing for us to watch.
You know, how do you make that skin not look plastic? How do you make that look like a living, breathing organism, mammal? You need to make that skin actually translucent. Human beings have skin we can sort of see through a little bit. That's why we're a little pink sometimes, because you're seeing the blood through there. And so, okay, well, let's give them translucent skin. Well, what's underneath? Once you see through the skin, well, what is it?
We spent a long time trying to figure out what color is Smurf blood. And what we ended up doing is thinking, well, they're blue. They eat this food that's blue that's supposed to keep them alive, so that maybe their blood is blue. And what ended up happening is they didn't look cute, and we kept moving them more and more toward warmer color, and we finally said, let's just put red blood in them and see what that looks like. And wow, now they finally look cute and cuddly and real.
They have all the complexities that a human being would have in their skin. They have wrinkles, they have freckles. If you were to get in really close and look at their skin, there's a lot more inconsistency than you would think.
Smurf Zuckley.
But the other problem was just in their motion, their heads are so giant and their hands are so big. They can't actually put their hands straight over their head. There's a lot of times that it's called for them to like reach up and grab something, and they can't do it because their heads are in the way.
Peyo designed these characters that had these really graphically interesting proportions, but he would take a lot of liberties when he was drawing them in poses. He would stretch limbs left, right, and center, and he would draw a Smurf holding something over their head and just stretch the arms and make it work. In our world, where our characters have to feel like they have flesh and bone, there's only a limited amount of sort of cheating that we can do.
So the animation supervisor had to figure out creative ways. You know, okay, well, he's got to tilt his head back, or he's got to do it with one arm.
But also, you know, there's going to be scenes where Gargamel's chasing them, and these characters are only 7.5 inches tall. And how does a 7.5-inch character outrun a 6-foot man?
For your life!
They have these big feet. Can they use those feet to kind of springboard themselves and propel themselves faster? And Raja had actually found some internet reference of somebody that had strapped on these giant sort of spring shoes. The strides that they were able to achieve was pretty impressive, and Raja wanted us to try that concept out and see how it would work with our Smurfs, using their feet in the same manner. Yeah, and it worked out pretty good. We figured out that we could get our Smurfs moving just over 10 feet a second, so we could stage it so that it was believable that a human could run behind the Smurf and they could make an escape.
Hey, I'm walking here.
But also, when you have a shot with a bunch of Smurfs in it, it's a lot of blue and white. That's another challenge in a movie like this.
So differentiating the characters was a hard thing too. I mean, obviously Papa and Smurfette, because Papa's red and has a beard, and Smurfette has long blonde hair, easy. But the rest of the Smurfs basically look identical.
So a lot of it comes in the way they stand and the way they move so that you can identify them from across the room. Clumsy has a very distinct way of standing.
Who's clumsy now, huh?
The way he walks is very different from the way, you know, Grouchy would walk.
Tell me about it.
But Gutsy is a new character.
He has a little blue kilt and a little blue palm on his hat, so he's a little easier to pick out.
He's a great character. He's all bravado and charisma.
You're lucky a lassie stepped in. I was about to make haggis with your innards.
It'll be interesting to see how the Smurf diehards welcome him into the Smurf world.
Oh, this is great.
When we're shooting the Smurfs, you try to give the actors on the set as much information as possible. It's really important to sell later to the audience that they're looking them in the eye, they're actually talking to them.
The challenge for me as a director is that I have to stage 6 imaginary creatures. So we would do rehearsals with what we called our Gumby Smurfs, which were posable Smurfs to regulation size.
This was the first movie I worked on where we actually had completely physically accurate models of our characters. They call them stuffies because traditionally it's someone from the prop department has made literally a little stuffed animal that they've stitched together that's an approximation. For this movie, we actually had a little silicone version of our characters with wireframe skeletons inside them that we could pose.
You know, once you see a little figure this big, you can work out how long it takes him to walk or run from one end of a sofa, let's say, to another. And we tried to do a little sort of puppet show to show what they would be doing.
Go back to Manhattan.
It was funny because the second day of shooting for Neil was physically the most complicated thing he had to shoot with the Smurfs. He opens the box and they kind of jump out and attack him. And he was a great sport, and the first 2 days we were basically beating him up with rubber Smurfs.
So this is the first 3D movie I've ever done, which is interesting. Everyone keeps thinking it's green screen everywhere, and then very little green screen at all. The graphics guys are able, through amazing technology, to make the Smurfs appear anywhere.
Well, because they're only 7.5 inches high, a lot of our photography has to take place at floor level. And if they're running or moving, then we need a shot that will be as close to the floor level as possible. And for that, we use a thing called a low-angle prism, so you get a floor eye view.
This is the Smurfo, let's see, it says Smurfo Vision 2000. This is the, it's basically a periscope. And what it does is it allows you to see from a Smurf's perspective, which is 7.5 inches off the ground. So there's a series of mirrors in here. There's a mirror here at a 45-degree angle, and there's a mirror down there at a 45-degree angle. And when you look into it, you can see Smurfy, his point of view, what it looks like. So look in there, check it out. See? Isn't that amazing?
I'm a hero! Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Definitely killed the moment.
We have to invest emotionally in these characters. To get there, we have to create a Smurf that is living, that breathing.
For us, it's very exciting to see them come to life, and I know that when people see them in their final form, they get very excited too.
I can tell you that we're going to great lengths to make sure that the fans are happy about their Smurfs. They're gonna laugh.
Oh, yeah, that cools the giblets.
I think they're gonna have a great time.
No Smurf left behind.
All for one and one for Smurf!
Hello. Hello there, I'm Gargamel, evil wizard. Welcome to my crib.
Gargamel.
Gargamel! Garbage smell.
Alakazumble. Nothing. Cheap thing.
Hank Azaria is Gargamel. I mean, he just did an amazing, amazing job.
Get out of my sucker, king! Ow! Ow! Oh.
He's unbelievable. What a weird role to take on, you know, because it's iconic in a two-dimensional way, so you have to make it three-dimensional. Everyone knows that Hank does amazing voice work, but the little subtle things that he does with the way that he runs and his postures and his hands and...
He's basing this character strictly off of a cartoon, but it's become so much more than that. Especially because he's the only cartoon character that really comes to life in a human form.
I was highly aware of the Smurfs, and to be honest, I found Gargamel annoying. I didn't like the character, and I was a big Paul Winchell fan. And they sent the script, and I had very specific ideas about how to make him funny and like the character from the cartoon, but different in certain ways that I would find less annoying and hopefully funny.
And action! Unhand me, heathens! What's up with the wrath and the great and powerful Gargamel? Ow, 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 ow.
It's not like he thinks he's good. He's evil and pretty proud of it.
Gargamel's kind of a delightful character because he's the bad guy that you kind of love too.
And he thinks power is the route to being loved.
And there's something kind of endearing about that.
Oh, I love emerging dramatically through the smoke.
Gargamel's also very theatrical. Not only does he want to be an effective wizard, he wants to be worshipped and considered a genius, and he wants all that good press. There was a big debate over what the voice should be.
We had in mind probably a slightly more Shakespearean Gargamel.
Sort of like this and self-important and as if he was an old stage actor.
I remember at one point him saying, well, the problem is if I do that, then I'm here the whole time. And I don't want to be just here the whole time. I want to be able to go here and here. And they're like, okay.
I also had just done that at the museum where I thought I did a Boris Karloff thing.
But I'd felt I did a sort of flowery, over-the-top, British kind of thing, and I just didn't want to do that again.
I sort of saw him more like this, sort of more. I don't know, it just, to me, he seemed more like an immigrant on the outside of things, and I wanted him to be, instead of yelling all the time, more sarcastic. And to me, sarcastic sort of lent itself to this.
Rather than, you know, if you're sarcastic this way, it doesn't quite sound as biting.
To say, hey, yes, you're great, get away from me.
That sounds funnier to me.
I'm sorry, was my thinking interrupting your vile hacking?
So I originally saw him more low-key and sarcastic, but in the end, you can't play Gargamel without screaming your head off. Just the second you see a Smurf, you have to lose your mind, or you're not Gargamel.
Oh, this is a lovely feature. Let's take a look at this. This is a little, it's like a little electric chair that I put the Smurfs in, and it's a hobby of mine. I create objects that are little torture devices, and I imagine Smurfs in them. Like this was good for me for a whole Saturday night.
He did such an amazing job, shaved his head. Every morning went through 2 to 3 hours, exactly mimicking what was in the books and the cartoon.
So I start my day getting shaved by 2 men. You see what happens when I try to shave myself. My feeling was we should try to just approximate the cartoon image as closely as possible. That's what I'd want to see. This is the ear portion. Mm-hmm. It starts with ears. Gargamel has big old ears. Then there's a big old nose. The nose often, it can easily go on crooked. And Gargamel looks like he's a member of the Wizard Mafia. And then there's a lot of painting. I really feel like an '86 Honda or something. It's like being spit on for about 20 minutes. Pretty great. And then they apply this strange monkish hair. But nobody has this hairstyle anymore. Used to be a lot of guys.
Because everybody shaves it off now.
Yeah. And then the eyebrows come on. The eyebrows really make this thing. Liver spots. Liver spots? Mm-hmm. I insisted on them. Getting close now. Gargamel is almost in the hizzy. So this is pretty much Gargamel. Once the teeth go in, it's like,
Okay, here we go. You see? And then we get Gargamel. I don't know why I need the teeth for the voice, but it's what happens. Azrael? Are you dead?
Azrael is Gargamel's sidekick, his little tomcat. And Azrael, I think, pretty much gets that Gargamel's an idiot most of the time.
Ala Kazoo! Ow! Great. Ye gods, Azrael. You're a boy?
I wanted to make the relationship with the cat, with Azrael, more like a married relationship, a little more like married bickering.
Hey, but don't go crazy. These are the only puppets I have.
One thing I don't like about villains in general is when they make evil pronouncements to no one.
I shall become the most powerful wizard in all of the world.
But you have a cat there. If you're talking to the cat, it makes sense.
His voice is the voice of Frank Welker, who is famous in this world of doing animal voices. So he got some very funny reactions for Azrael.
I work with many versions of cats. There's often a real cat, and there's 4 different real cats. Then there's sometimes just nothing, a cat that will be CGI'd later. Then at times there's a cat that's there, but his face is going to be animated later. So we get all versions of cats.
For the most part, we used a real cat. I guess a tabby, you'd say, sort of orange and stripes and kind of tough.
Cats are really hard. They're different than dogs. They don't even want to go from here to there. So it's a real problem.
And action.
How to find the Smurfs. If only... What?
With a dog, they're so energetic and they just aim to please. They love the attention and they love the people and they're just happy to be there. With a cat, it's like, you know what? I don't really want to be a part of this. And it's like you try to convince them and make them comfortable and build their confidence up, and then hopefully at the end of the day, you're getting pieces that you need to tell the story.
Young woodsman, what does the temperature of this lily have to do with the finding of Smurfs?
Take your meds, man.
What?
He was running around New York City and people go, hey, Gargamel. I mean, there was just like no doubt that this guy was Gargamel.
He has the lion's share of work to do on the movie. He's the one in the harnesses, and he's the one on the green screens, and he's the one in all the crazy sets. So I can't think of anyone better for the role than him.
It's amazing to see him come in at the beginning of the day and to see what he's like and to see what he looks like. And then in a couple hours, he comes out of the makeup room and he's a completely different person.
You out, paparazzi. Tired of this. Everywhere I go, you dog me. and I'm best friends with the cat.
You know, it was a challenging role for Hank, and he just brought the fun in. That was fantastic. I'm good to walk away.
Very good.
Yeah? Check the gate.
Cuba?
Dude, that was so good. Here comes the gate. We couldn't have asked for a better Gargamel.
Thanks.
Just brought the movie alive.
It's really gotten back to being something that's, I think, very similar to the cartoon.
Please, allow me. It's Gargamel!
But in the end, you know, Gargamel is Gargamel, I have discovered.
Anyway, it was, great having you. I'm so glad that you could stay a spell. You get it? A spell, because I'm a sorcerer. Anyway, seriously, get out now. Get out. Get out.
The biggest task of creating the Smurfs movie was to bring the cartoon, made up of lines and solid color, into the real world by making a living, breathing, talking Smurf.
Just a minute. That's it. There we go.
Here we see our Smurfs looking for a hidden potion in a book of Peyo's cartoons.
Look here at the patterns on this page.
Wow. Look at that.
Next, we'll see some examples of Peyo's drawing up close. Notice the consistent look of a white hat, big feet, and blue skin. Sony Pictures Animation began the transformation process from a 2D character to a 3D character by drawing various poses to determine what would be needed to make a 3D Smurf. There were a lot of ideas drawn, notes made, and many rejected. All kinds of tests were done to see what worked and what didn't. We especially wanted our Smurf to fulfill the image of what we expect a Smurf to look like. Once all the proportions were worked out on a generic Smurf, each character was designed and then illustrated to determine the final look. From those illustrations, a dimensional model was made and lit to match the illustration. This was our cross-check to make sure every detail was carried to the computer version. To make the Smurfs perform, the animators need a way to make all the joints and facial features move like a real being. Here you see the bones, or rig, the animators use to make the character come to life. The facial controls are tested to see the range of emotion possible in each character. If a special facial pose is required, additional controls may be added to achieve what the animator is looking for. Next, the rig is put through its paces to determine how the Smurfs might navigate the real world. Here are some examples of what the Smurfs might have to do. Each character has its own special features that need to be worked out. Here you see Smurfette's animation drive a simulation of the cloth dynamics to create a realistic motion to the material. Smurfette's hair is done the same way. Next, every detail of how the skin behaves in light is looked at. The skin has pores, wrinkles, freckles, peach fuzz, and a blood layer, seen in translucent skin areas just like we see in ourselves. The sheen and color characteristics as well are set up ahead of time so that each shot starts with the same settings. Through lighting and compositing, the characteristics are adjusted in each shot to achieve the final look. Smurfette's hair was most challenging because of the large silhouette and implied amount of hairspray necessary to hold real hair in that shape. Ultimately, we loosen the stiffness to get a more relaxed and natural movement. Each character goes through some lighting checks to see that everything is working properly. It took the ImageWorks crew a few shots with each character to get the basic look right. Finally, here are some of our finished shots.
Oh my Smurf.
Here is Smurf Village, one of the most complicated environments ever created at ImageWorks.
Oh yeah, I love Smurf berries. Hey, the blue ones are mine.
Rather than use a texture or painted approach to the backgrounds and ground cover, we chose to model every element, ensuring that every detail can be seen in vivid dimension. We wanted everything to look as if the Smurfs would actually live in this environment. We went to nurseries and found small plants. We went to forests and studied the ground cover, trees, and plant life. We chose interesting trees like great oaks with exposed roots and moss and debris. The village is designed as a real place, not a miniature. Everything maintains its natural scale. Objects that the Smurfs created, like their mushroom homes and the wooden bridge, are made from natural materials in a way they could achieve. To maintain the natural and lifelike appearance, we recorded actual lighting examples in real forests and applied this HDRI information to the digital lighting. Artists animated the movement of the leaves and branches to create moving shadows, just as we would see in a real forest.
Oh yeah, I love Smurf berries. Hey, the blue ones are mine.
On the Smurfs, we were challenged with making the animated characters come to life in a live-action world. Here you see the skeleton and the control rigs that we give the animators to make realistic action, including body movements and facial expressions that really bring the characters to life. We also take the same care to give the lighters control of their skin texture, color, clothing, and hair. We do extensive capture of all the lights and surfaces on the live set. The result of this recording helps ensure that the characters appear to stand firmly on the desk and can even be reflected in the glass ball seen in the center of frame. The final composite shows all these things working together.
La 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 la, Smurf your whole day long.
Here we see a clip from Smurfs, where Clumsy is escaping being chased by a dog and dives into the sink for protection. When he turns around, he sees a tasty-looking soap container.
Hey. Berry Boom. Mmm.
We use a very sophisticated camera called a Spheron, which captures a 360-degree image, recorded twice exactly 30 inches apart. Through triangulation, we can calculate the distance away from the camera each of those points are and build a geometric representation of the set. We can project the images onto that geometry to rebuild a realistic-looking physical model of the scene. Each light is calculated, its wattage, its color, reflections, shadow angle. All these things contribute to making a realistic portrayal of our hero Smurf in the scene. Here we see a clip from Smurfs showing Smurfette, Papa, and Clumsy going home through a magical portal. The portal is an animated tube made of water that is spinning horizontally, something that normally occurs vertically. So to make the physics work properly, we simulate what is happening on the inside of the tube separately from what needs to happen on the outside. Since the tube was not there on location, we replaced the waterfall in the plate with CG water and simulated the physics that would occur if the water were hitting a spinning tube. The inside water tube is then combined with the outside effect for the final look.
Very nice.
Put a little muscle into it, Grouchy.
I am!
I shall become the most powerful wizard in all of the world. Yeah, but you're milking it. Don't milk it.
Oh, great one.
Yes, lying, deceptive, horrible little Smurfette.
After all your years of Smurfless searching, however do you expect to find us?
Oh, I'm very glad you asked, my dear. For you see, I have a magical map, and it shows me exactly where you are not. And then the whole world will know the name. Oh, my.
No, Gargamel's not here right now. He's off at a genius wizard convention.
Gargamel, open up! You sold me a faulty potion!
Sorry, all sales are final, I'm afraid. It's castle policy.
Ah, your magic is worthless. That potion was supposed to make me handsome. All it does is keep turning me into a bear. I want my money back!
This is exactly why we must stay focused on our quest for Smurfs. I shall now use my formidable powers to magically transport us here. Come, my little fish-breathed friend. A la Cardoon. Great. Ye gods, Asriel. You're a boy? Behold, Asriel. Even this fortress senses my powerful presence. Wait. This could be a trap. Are you dead? Poor miserable wretch. You there! You, temptress! Where is your Patrick?
Senor Gargamel, did you bring me more of your potion?
Don't you understand, you silly, silly woman? There is no potion without the Smurfs.
What are these Smurfs?
I'm going to go very, very slowly for you, all right? Smurfs are little blue men, 3 apples high. I must squeeze out their essence. Without it, I am nothing. With it, I rule the world. Do you understand now? Smurfs, world. No Smurfs, nothing. Don't ask me this again.
Come back when you have regained your sanity and your potion. Without it, you're useless to me.
Gods of the North Wind, do my bidding!
I said, gods of the North Wind, do my bidding. That's right, peasants. Soon the whole world will see how Gargamel sucks. Come on, Essie. Let's pillage this village. Come on!
So I don't understand. How can you be the only girl in the village?
Well, see, I wasn't brought by a stork like the others. I was created by Gargamel to trap the other Smurfs.
Wow, and then what happened?
Papa saved me. He cast a special spell and then helped me become the Smurf I was meant to be.
That's amazing.
But I get tired of being the only girl around here. I could sure use a sister.
My goodness, I know how you feel. I grew up with 3 brothers in the house. I always felt like such an oddball, you know?
So, I'm not the only one?
Oh, no. No, not at all.
It's just, sometimes, I think they're all crazy. The way they clump around and go on and on about things that don't really matter, or don't talk at all about the things that do. And sometimes it makes me feel like I'm the one who's a little crazy.
Oh, no, you're not crazy. Look, sometimes you just gotta let boys be boys and you be you. 'Cause you know what, if we were all the same, life would be pretty boring, right?
I'll say. If this is what girlfriends are all about, I could get used to it.
Me too.
I was hoping I'd be sleeping in my mushroom tonight.
Oh, I miss the other Smurfs.
Me too. I've never spent the night away from home before.
Well, it was last night, but who could sleep?
Is that a dragon, Papa? I'm fairly sure I saw a dragon.
Hush, hush now, Smurfs.
They're calling you now.
Here you go, dear.
For you to come home.
Good night, Papa.
You already know the way. Just drift away. You're gone. When you go to sleep, you wake up in a place you know. Go to sleep, go to sleep, dropping soft and low. When you go to sleep, you wake up in a magic place. It's so warm, safe from harm. Now it's time to go to sleep. When you go to sleep, you wake up in a place you know. Go to sleep, go to sleep, dropping soft and low. When you go to sleep, you wake up in a magic place. It's so warm, safe from harm. Now it's time to go to sleep.
No,
Now, Gutsy. Take your Smurfberry. Don't worry. We'll get home.